Okay, good afternoon, guys. Welcome back to another lesson with me, Coach Matt, and welcome back to school. I'm sure you guys have all been enjoying a fantastic break, relaxing, taking it easy, and I hope you guys have all sort of rested and refueled yourselves for another term, another good term where we're going to try and learn and accomplish as many things as possible. Guys, I'm very happy to see that most of you are here on the Lichess. Fantastic. Like you guys can probably see, I am sharing my screen currently. Let me just make sure that I am doing that. Okay, fantastic. So you can follow on the Zoom or you can follow on the Lichess. It is up to you. But I would prefer if you're on the Lichess. Again, just remember, if you want to type something in, if you want to share something with me, you are free to do that in the Lichess chat room, or alternatively, you can use the Zoom chat room if that's going to be a little bit easier for you. So guys, I hope you've all been practicing your chess. We sent out the program for you guys again this week. I know that it seems like that might be quite a bit of work, but I promise you, if you guys have been keeping up to date with that, the chess improves in leaps and bounds. Mute those microphones, please, boys and girls. We wouldn't want you to say something if you think you're muted. There we go. Thank you. All right. So nice, guys. If you want to say something, you can always raise your hand. I guess we can do it like that, but I prefer just keeping it simple in the chat room. That makes life a little bit easier for everybody. So big welcome back. Thank you for attending and thank you for being on time. Let's start with today's lesson. We've got a few exercises. I didn't want to make today too intensive, just sort of warm you guys back up. And we can start up with some more complex stuff with next week. But that being said, it's no walk in the park either. The tactics or the exercises are pretty detailed. So we'll get into that in a moment. All right, the first one, guys, it's white to play and win. I will firstly try to give you as little clues as possible. I want you guys figuring out this on your own. Most of them are looking at like 2-3 move combinations. It's none of them are one move stuff, but also none of them are really like 5 moves. I'm not going asking you guys super impossible ones. That's not the goal at all. Like I said, I hope you guys are doing the program. Those workbooks are really good, and you can always go get yourself a step book from House of Chess. They've got lots of nice chess goodies there, but a nice step book and working through that is absolutely a good idea. A little bit of tactics every single day will make you a chess master. I guarantee it. Guarantee it. And that's also why I tried to get that program going, that you guys can do some tactics. All right, white to play. I haven't seen anybody respond. Come on, guys. Let's not take too long with this stuff. I want some responses. Thank you, Keanu. He opens it up. Thank you. Guys, remember, like I said, participation is key. Don't sit there and stare at the computer and space out. No, but it's not going to help anybody. Let's get involved. Let's get interactive. Let's get this lesson on the go. So we got bishop takes g7. Ooh. Hey, Blommenstein, nice. Thank you for that solution. Guys, let's keep it simple. All right, so that was a long-winded, let's call it story from Matthew. Good answer, correct answer. But there's a correct way to do things, guys, and that's in notation. Like, I'm going to do this first answer in the notation right now, in the chat room right here with you guys. So I don't need you to tell me like the king goes here and then the rook goes there and then the bishop goes to this square. Let's keep it simple. Kiani, also just, it's not bishop takes rook g7. You can just say bishop takes g7. And it's partially the right idea. The one thing you have to be wary of here is if you just take g7, this queen takes d2 in this position. Technically, this bishop is pinned because this queen takes d2 if you move the piece. But there's also another way of looking at it. You're like, wait a second, if I could move this bishop and it were to be check, then it would be me who's taking the queen on d5. And that's what our what Matt brought to us. So we'll say rook h8 check. Where is the plus here? Rook h8 check. Then king takes h8. And then you can say bishop takes g7 check. So that's it in notation terms. We've got rook h8 check. Then the king is pretty much forced to take the rook on h8. That puts the king on h8. Then it's bishop takes g7, which is check. Black can then choose how he wishes to take back on g7. Whether he opts to take back with the king or whether he opts to take back with the rook shouldn't really make a difference. And then we've got queen takes d5. See, notice how I do it. I want us to first do it sort of in our heads and try to do that as best as possible. And after that, then we can move the pieces. Remember, all analysis at your guys' level, where we want us to be, we want to do it in our head. Practice visualizing the pieces in any exercise that you do, whether it's really simple or whether it's more complicated. Try and picture the pieces in your head. You can almost close your eyes and visualize that position. Be like, okay, he goes there, then I go there, then he goes there. Then you're like, but where's that piece again? Oh, okay, that's over there. And that will absolutely guaranteed improve your analysis. But if the queen takes, then the rook can mate. If the queen takes, then the rook can mate. Whew. It doesn't make a great deal of sense. If the queen takes, then the rook can mate. All right, so we've got check here. I'll try and deal with that in a moment. We'll see about this now. King takes. I think we're forgetting that one of these rooks is gone. So it's check as advertised. It's check, so there's none of this or any sort of other moves that black could play. Either king takes g7 or rook takes g7. Let's go with rook takes. Why not? And then queen takes d5. Definitely appears that there's no mates possible. Let's see if we've perhaps overlooked something. Rook h8 check. No, there's no real options. I'm looking like, can black do something else? There's no choice, so he has to. Once this has been played, he can move the king out of the way. Alternatively, that doesn't seem like it's going to help. Of course, I'm going to proceed with the queen takes d5. Thank you guys for your participation. Good one. Let's move on. Nice. I like this puzzle. Very nice way to start. Let's keep going. All right, let's see what happens here. If bishop takes, Keanu, we're just going to see what you're talking about here because I'm not sure. Let's move that back up here. If bishop takes, rook g7. And the queen takes, that's what he's talking about. Then the rook mates. Cool idea. It's close, really close. But it's close, but unfortunately doesn't work out. The king is going to grab the bishop on g7. All right, thank you. Interesting one. You see, guys, I don't mind trying to resolve stuff for you. That's cool. Get involved, participate, ask questions. You're like, that doesn't add up. Let's see if we can figure it out for you. Cool. All right, let's move on. Black to play. Always have a look at the material situation. What do I mean by that? I mean the points. Let's see what's happening here. It looks like black is an exchange up. That means rook for a piece, whether it be a knight or a bishop. Rook for mine a piece. But there's some complications that black is dealing with in this position. What complications am I referring to? Well, the rook is under attack. I mean, the queen is under attack and the rook is under attack at the same time. So there's a little bit of concern here in this position. You can't just play a simple move. Otherwise, you're going to take a big loss of material in this position. So black has to carefully choose his next move. There is a nice combination that wins black even more material. Let's see if we can find it. So have a good look, see if you can calculate it. Remember, Don't just keep those solutions to yourself. Get involved on the chat room. Remember, there's nothing wrong with making a few mistakes. You'll learn from those mistakes and you'll grow as a player. The other thing is, a lot of the time people will tell me, no, but I couldn't come up with anything good. I couldn't come up with anything good. Well, if you can't come up with anything good, then what I recommend you do is you suggest or you play the best move that you can think of. Because in the game, there's no option to pass. You can't be like, well, sorry, I can't find a good move here. You carry on. That's not how it works. Unfortunately, no matter what, you do have to play a move. So if you can't think of anything impressive, at least play the best move you can think of. Say, all right, well, I don't think this is that good, but I'm going to go with queen takes c2. Please don't go with queen takes c2. So we got bishop a6. Bishop a6 looks like a bunch of very crazy chess about to happen there. Everything's hanging. Like the queens are both hanging, the rook's hanging. It's going to be a crazy situation. We'll analyze that in a moment. I'd like to get a few more responses. But bishop a6, he's on the right track. These are the type of moves that you need to look at. You need to look at all possible checks, all possible takes, any and all attacking moves. Okay, no problem. All possible checks, all possible attacks, takes, everything. What are we doing? No takers? All right, I'll give you guys 30 more seconds, then I'll move on with the solution. Remember what I said, guys, participation is key. Come on, Daniel. I see you here on the lead chess, but I don't see or hear any responses from you, young man. D5 swap off. Keanu's got lots of ideas. All right, thank you, Keanu. We do appreciate your input. We'll investigate some of these moves now. All right, guys. Not that happy with the lack of response here. I want you guys to get involved. Very important. All right, let's first look at bishop a6, because bishop a6 I thought was going to be interesting. Reason being, there's this happening. So technically, black is threatening to go queen takes b1, knight takes b1, rook takes b1 with a mate, because after queen f1, there'll be rook takes f1 mate. Whew, pretty exciting stuff. I have a feeling maybe white can get away with this, but probably also not good, because queen b1, knight b1, rook b1, queen f1, rook f1, king f1. And if you look at the pieces, you're like, wait a second, isn't black just winning here by a country mile? And okay, it looks like he's a pawn and a rook against bishop. So what is that? 6 against 3. He's +3 here. That's quite a considerable advantage. I think just something like d6, king d7, and rook c8. And this will be very comfortable. I think black is pretty much won in that position. Let's go back a sec. So bishop a6, fine. So that takes care of this. Nice try. No good for white, that move. What if white takes b2? I think this is the big move that we had to consider, because rook takes b2, obviously that's your queen right there. And you're like, what am I going to do if he takes my queen? Well, I need to come up with something good. And this doesn't seem like it's good enough. Mainly because there's just no threat here. You're not threatening to do anything. The knight covers, the knight covers the b1 square. And, okay, I mean, white can just take this. Doesn't seem like, so that's no good. And then the obvious move is maybe to go bishop c4, but then it looks like you're getting mated at the back here. So that is a no-go. But bishop a6, nice try. I liked it. I liked it. I had hope, but that's it. You know, it looks good, and then you got to try it out. You got to say, okay, it looks hopeful. Let's investigate it with some real analysis, and then we can start to see. So d5, and this is an interesting point. I've seen these types of situations many times on the board. And what you should be looking to do with white, my first thing I thought of is I'm like, what if I can move this queen and check the king at the same time? Because if I can move something like queen a4, I'm checking the king. Okay? Once I've checked the king, obviously they have to get out of the check or whatever they choose to do. And when they do that, I'm just going to say thank you for that queen. And then I think this is pretty much done and dusted. A little bit of a tricky one. I won't lie to you. This wasn't an easy solution. I felt this was quite a challenging one. I threw it in there just to mix it up a little bit. The best move is queen takes b1. Forces knight takes b1, and now we have bishop a6, which basically leads us back to the previous position, or at least that position where we dealt with queen a6, rook b1, queen f1, and rook takes, and we said black had that fairly easy endgame. There's no real, let's say, good way for white to move the queen and defend the rook at the same time. Probably just what I'm looking at, I would maybe opt to play queen b3. And queen b3, then rook takes, pawn takes. There is also the option of bishop takes b8, but then black has bishop takes c4. And then again, he's entering that end game, rook against knight with the extra pawn. Little bit of a tricky one, but I think it's quite nice, quite a cool puzzle. So queen takes b1 was our solution there. We'll put an exclamation mark. Guys, check this out. On Lichess, you've probably seen this before, but this is sort of all the annotations that you've got available to you. So an exclamation mark is a good move, a question mark is a mistake, double exclam, brilliant or excellent, however you want to refer it, double question mark, blunder. Remember blunder, you've probably heard the term blunder if you've ever attended a chess tournament. Blunder just means sort of a catastrophic move. There goes the queen, there goes the game, oops, shouldn't have done that one. Interesting move, exclamation, question marks. You guys can go through these. But definitely queen takes b1, getting an exclamation mark. Good move. Okie dokie. Black to play and win. A little bit of an interesting one. The clue is go for the king. Go for the king, and b takes a is not a good move. Pawn takes pawn, not going to help you in this case. I'll talk about that in a little bit. We'll investigate that. But this is sort of a classic position where black's generated a nice attack on the queen side, which is actually white's king side, having long castled, and lots of exciting tactics lurking around here. So we're trying to mate the king, and if we don't mate the king, hopefully we pick up some good material along the way. Let's see what you guys can come up with. Gianni wants to go rogue. He's like, I'm sacking the queen. Doesn't matter. I'm going for the king. The queen. Guys, if you're going to sack the queen, you need to be absolutely sure, absolutely certain that it's a good move. Do not gamble with the livelihood of the queen. I think most people would probably play this move. I just wanted to save you some time and not go down that path because it looks kind of natural. It looks like a good move, but it is not the move in this position. So queen a2. All right, we'll get in that in a moment. Let's see who else has got some options for us. All possible checks, all possible takes need to be investigated. Absolutely, especially if we're focusing on a king side attack. What can I take? What can I do? Rook b8. Rook b8 seems interesting. I'm just not sure what I'm doing about that. Well, what's the plan? Of course, whatever move you make, you need to have a threat. You need to say, okay, this is what I'm threatening. This is why I've planned this move. Gabriel obviously not listening with B takes A. I told you it looks tempting, Gabriel. I'm not going to lie. I want to do it, but I know it's not the right answer. We'll talk about that in a moment, like I said. Okay, so it seems like we don't have any other solutions here. Okay, that's cool. Let's see if anyone's on the here. No, that's not there. Okay, let's talk about this move first. This move is, like I said, looks very natural. You attack the king, and the obvious move that white's going to play is king a1. Now, this is one of the most frustrating things whenever you're trying to use your big pieces to attack a king, is your own pawn is working against you here. There is no better shield for this king on a1 than one of your pawns. The reason being, he doesn't have to take this pawn, and this pawn just sits there and protects the king from your big pieces. So there seems to be now no way for you to actively get to this king. And then maybe white has some interesting threats. Knight f6 looks like it's going to be quite strong. Knight f6, bishop f6, queen g8 could be pretty nifty. And the point is, there's no real good moves to follow this up with. That's the first snag. So like I said, I tried to discourage you guys from going down that path. I felt like it looks good, but it's not too useful. Rook b8, we said we're not really sure how it helps you. Yes, maybe you're threatening this move and then rook takes b2. The bishop still defends, though. It seems like maybe white is still going to hold on. Nothing concrete there. Then the other one, always worth investigating, the wild and crazy. You're like, I'm sacking the queen, I'm throwing the kitchen sink at the opposition. Hopefully I'm going to mate him. So, of course, only one move to consider here. This, rook a2. Then, again, pawn takes here. Now it's like, can I just fly the bishop to this square? It might be useful. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like there's any way that we could get there. And even if we did, maybe white would still be able to defend this. Other hopeful ideas might be to bring the G rook to b8 and then maybe opt to try and get to the b1 square. All of these moves just feel a little bit too slow. It doesn't seem like there's any way that I can actively get that to work. Sneaky little move. Bishop e4. We're going to go ahead and give that an exclamation mark just because it seems great. Maybe even double. It's a pretty nice move. Looks like a nice check. I know what you're thinking. Wait a second. Can't this pawn take? We'll get there in a second. What if king a1? Let's find a quick mate, guys. I'm hoping that someone will pick it up in 10 seconds. What? Quick mate. Who's got it? Who's got it? Mate in 2. Queen A2, very nice. Oh, I was a little slow on the draw there, guys. I was hoping this answer would come in a little bit quicker than that. Queen A2, Rook A2, and then Rook A2, mating the king. Lovely stuff. A nice way to finish this one off. So after Bishop E4, Queen A2 is actually mating. So let's say Bishop E4, pawn takes, because that's the only move. And now, who can see a good move? We need to win this queen. I feel like that's a bit of a giveaway, but come on, guys. How do we win this queen? Nice. All right, well done. B takes A. So now it's the right move. Funny how that happens. It's like in one position, it's a no-no. In the next position, it's suddenly, you're like, it's the golden move. And then queen takes G3, free queen. And now white is pretty much dead. So pretty cool. I was thinking about it now. Maybe it'll be worthwhile for all of you guys to go through these exercises again on your own time and just try and understand the solution. So I'll put exclamation marks next to all the correct moves, and then so you can just maybe revise it and make sure that you guys understand it. Okay, so this one I'll help you out. I'll help you with the first move. Queen E6. You can see this king was a little bit on the run. So black's got two options here, either king h5 or king h7, only decent ones. Let's go with king h5, and there's a fairly easy tactic that white can play to finish this game off. I'm not saying checkmate, I'm just saying put black to rest. Nice move, quick and easy. Come on, guys, get involved. Knight g3, oof. It looks great, Keanu, I hear you. But knight g3 is a bit flawed. Rook b8. I think you might be on the wrong position, Gabriel. Gabriel, there are no rooks. There's no rook on this position. Exercise number 4. All right, knight g3. Let's just have a look at the difference between knight g3 and knight f6. What do we see? We see a line, and we're like, hey, if I could just make this knight vanish, then I can go queen takes e1, and boom, I'm picking up a queen. Problem with knight g3, the queen takes the knight, and he sort of escapes the danger. So what obviously we want to do is we want to go knight f6, and then the pawn should probably take back, queen takes, and it all works out a little bit too well for white, because now this pawn is stuck, and it should be very, very plain sailing from here. So queen e6 as promised. We'll put that exclamation mark there. All right, let's move on. What have we got here? Oof, looks all a little bit crazy. Okay, white to play and win. Sorry, I'm speeding it up a little bit because we are running out of time, and I'd like to do at least the king and pawn endgame with you guys before we run out of time. So we've got rook f6, which I kind of like. Rook f6 is a nice move. I like that move. But there's nothing that forces black to take this. It's still going to be a really tough position. Queen g2, I feel like that's a move for black. It's white to play here in this position. We need to find a move for white. So rook f6, a nice try. What can black do against this? It's actually quite a tough spot for black, no matter how you look at it. He doesn't really have any useful moves. This is not going to do. He's just dropping a piece here. Rook takes, as we are probably aware, is obviously going to be mate. So maybe he just has to move this rook away, something like this, and he might be able to survive. Another move that's absolutely worth investigating is moving the bishop. So you move the bishop somewhere, like to attack the queen, and then you're threatening rook takes rook, which might lead to mate. Guys, I'm going to leave this one for you. You guys can solve this one on your own time, and then hopefully you guys can send me a message. You can send me a message on Lichess and just say, just give me the solution. I think that's a nice idea. See if you can send me that solution on Lichess, because I just want to do this last example. Then I will sort the Lucina out with you next time. Guys, we've got a king and a pawn against the king. I think this is a revision exercise, but an important one that I wanted to just go through with you guys. Make sure that we get that done. So as you know, how do you win these positions? You've got to keep the king in front of the pawn, and you need to get opposition. Okay? So easy, fairly easy exercise. Always, king and pawn end games, king first. King e4. Who has opposition? Well, it's clear white has the opposition. The black king has to move. Interesting one. Let's say I go here. So king d7, he moves away. White goes king e5, king e7. Now black has the opposition because it's white to move and the kings are facing each other. But white has a nice waiting move here, and he spins the opposition around. Suddenly it's now black's king who has to move, and white has the opposition. King f6, king e6 retaining the opposition, king d7. And now it's pretty easy. The pawn just marches up the board. And once you get even, let's say, even to this position, it's protected, protected, protected. This pawn is just running straight through. Absolutely no difficulties involved here. All right. Guys, we are basically out of time. I'd like you very much to solve this number 5 and send it to me. Please make sure you do the stuff in the program, do the workbook as well as the exercise that's been set out for you guys. Also, we've got about half an hour left. I will be online. I will be watching you guys. Please play some games. Practice makes perfect. Let's get some gameplay. Good luck and take your time. Remember to play the 15-minute time controls, 10 or 15. I will see you guys again soon. Practice hard. Play well. Bye-bye.